Hi everyone, thanks for that, Martin. That was really affirming for us as a school. I hadn't actually heard parts of that speech before, and hopefully you'll see the links between what I'm going to say and what Martin's been talking about. So the journey for the ASMS with general capabilities started many, many years ago, and incredible recognition and acknowledgement needs to go to Bronte Nichols, who is in the room and who actually started that journey very purposely and with incredible energy a long time ago. The ASMS, I think, on establishment identified some graduate capabilities, and there has always been value for our students around having an ASMS graduation certificate as well as a SASPA certificate, and you can't get the graduation certificate if you haven't actually met the capabilities. A number of years ago, we did move to the general capabilities as our capability set. So what have we done with that general capabilities piece? Well, one of the things that we did quite early, and as I say, Bronte started this amazing work, was to really look at them and say, okay, so that's what Year 10 might look like. What would we want the graduate capabilities to look at, or the general capabilities to look like at graduate level for our students? And so we spent a couple of years probably working through that with staff and refining them to the point where we now have what we lovingly refer to as our working drafts. And we use them with the students and with the families. And so we actually have a statement about this is what we expect you to be able to demonstrate to get a graduation certificate from the ASMS. So that's how we are valuing that whole piece around the accreditation and certification for that. Of course, it's an internal type decision, but it's something that we value and our students really value. How did we get there? Well, familiarisation was such an important piece. So we had so many sessions with teachers and with students and with parents where we have shared our vision around the general capabilities. And some of you may or may not have heard about the video that we made a couple of years ago for our graduating group, which was called You Are Not Your ATAR. So we very, very publicly will say the ATAR matters, but it's not all that matters, and it doesn't matter as much as some other things. And we say that quite proudly. And interestingly, we just had a student come back to the school having done Year 12 last year, and he stood up on the stage and said, you know, I used to think ATAR matters, but I've worked out now it doesn't. There's so many other pathways and ways that you can get to where you want to be that it's important, but it's only important for a really short time. And for him, that time had well and truly passed by the time he came to our school at the end of January to talk to our kids, which was lovely, lovely to hear. One of the things that we have worked hard at is taking parents and students with us, because there is a pervasion in the community around the importance of things like ATAR. And so we don't just work with our staff and just work with our students, but we work really closely with our parents around that as well. And they find that a real tension, because for some of them, they think that they say that it doesn't matter, but they think that it does. And so it can be a real tension for parents. And so we have structures in place which help them celebrate and appreciate the importance of the general capabilities as their children go through our school. One of them is the creation of something called an e-portfolio. So when our students start in Year 10, they set up an online document which is basically a repository for evidence for their development of the general capabilities. And they keep that over their 3 years, and so they're able to show their progression and their growth within the capabilities. Like many of you, we have our parent-teacher night is a learning conversation where the student presents their evidence of their learning to their family and their home group teacher. And the e-portfolio is absolutely central to that. And that really allows our students to distill that knowledge and do this evidence and warranting piece really publicly with their families. And so the families over their time at the school really start to understand how important that is. One of the key things that I think we have done quite well at the ASMS is we've really supported the early adopters. So Bronte ran an amazing group which were called the Capability Champions, and had half a dozen really keen early adopters within that group, and they really infiltrated the staff amazingly well and did an incredible job, because every time that anything was done with planning, they'd say, but what about the capabilities? How could we fit in the capabilities? So having those early adopters really valued has been really, really important. We've also, because we do everything in teams, we've had some stage 2 teams who really wanted to pick this up. And it's like, yeah, just go and play. Go and play and see how it goes. Just give it a go, give it a try. And that has been really valuable as well. And I think we've done quite a good job of celebrating any small successes. So we've done we're a very appreciative school, and that appreciation really extends to public acknowledgement of the successes that we have, and I think that has been a really important part of our journey. And the other thing that we've done, which I think probably has really accelerated things, is last year for our professional learning action research, the capabilities were the focus. So everybody did action research around something to do with the capabilities, and that just got everybody talking about it. And I think that really has accelerated the uptake by the teachers and the students, and hopefully then it'll flow on to the parents, because we had such a whole school focus around that. I think that was really an important thing. It's really fascinating. We're now at the point where people are so into this, they're really screaming out for a system to record this so that we have some recording system. I don't know if such a thing really exists, but they're really keen to investigate this, which I think is really a good place to be, because people are valuing it so much, they want to record it and are feeling so comfortable and so confident that they're feeling okay about saying, yeah, I can see that. I think that is graduate level, because that's often the problem. Yeah, but how do we know? How do we know it's that level? But that comfort has really built, and confidence for our staff. So I think that's a positive place to be. Whether we go that way or not, I'm not sure, but I think it's a really great place for us to be. It hasn't been without its challenges, it would be fair to say. As I've mentioned, how supporting the whole school community can be really challenging. And sometimes you just think you're on a really fantastic pathway, and all of a sudden the kid who's been doing this amazing e-portfolio for the years 10 and 11, and they're doing really incredible things and can articulate it, and they'll come to you and say, Glenys, I need to drop out of maths methods and pick up psychology. Oh, why is that? Because I need to get a better ATAR. It's like, oh, okay, let's have that conversation a few times. And we do spend a lot of time talking. So I'm not saying it's all perfect yet, but we still are really, we're really committed to the journey with the students, and we're also really committed to a very common messaging around that, which I think is a really important part. We have also found that the capabilities aren't necessarily sufficiently broad to capture what we're actually looking to capture. So a lot of the entrepreneurial thinking piece was it's just not there. When you actually really dissect it, we call it critical and creative thinking, but the critical part should probably be in about font size 50 and the creative in about font size 10, because it's not equitable in terms of the actual documentation that's behind it. So we find that a bit challenging at times. We've looked at a range of capabilities across different states, different countries, and we've found that there are some significant differences between the general capabilities and other things we're looking at. And the big difference we found is the greater emphasis on the personal and social within the Australian capabilities compared to a whole pile that we've looked at from around the world. Good thing, bad thing, I don't know, but it's just something that's different. That's an interesting thing, whereas some of them will have the entrepreneurial bit, but then they won't have the personal and social bit. So, it's just an interesting conundrum. Don't know, maybe it reflects different philosophies around education, don't know. Yeah, I think that's probably enough from me. So hopefully that's given you just a little bit of a potted history of our story. We really want people to play within this space. So if you have any interest at all in talking with us, meeting with us, working with us, laughing with us, crying with us, celebrating with us. We would love you to connect with us. There's a few of us here tonight. So Lisa is from our school, Alex at the back, and Matt. So if you just are at all interested, please come and see any of us, because we would just love you to approach us and say, hey, we want to play in this space too, because we really, really want some friends to play in this particular sandpit. Thank you.